Could Zack Snyder's universe return? This is the news that's circulating strongly today. Warner Brothers, which owns Detective Comics and major franchises like Home Box Office and Harry Potter, recently admitted it's considering offers from potential buyers. One buyer seemed unlikely and wasn't mentioned much until recently, since a source mentions that he could buy Warner Brothers, and if so, it would bring back what's called the Snyder Brothers. In this video, we dive into geek gossip so I can share everything about this mysterious buyer, if the sources are reliable. So what are my final thoughts on this? Let's get started. I have a full video on Warner Brothers and why it's for sale, but here's a brief summary to get everyone up to speed. It turns out that Warner, despite being a studio with huge franchises and intellectual properties that rival Disney, has struggled with money issues in recent years. Due to poor decisions like releasing all their movies in theaters and on Home Box Office Max simultaneously during the pandemic, Warner suffered major financial losses from losing theater revenue. And their Home Box Office Max numbers didn't go up enough to justify the sacrifice either. The company ultimately went to Discovery, led by David Zaslav. However, from the very beginning, there was a rumor that David Zaslav's real goal wasn't to strengthen the Warner Brothers brand through good stories, but simply to improve the numbers as much as possible, and then sell the company again, which is the point we're at today. A week ago, Universal, Paramount, and Netflix were the top buyers, but each had issues. Universal wants to buy, but can't afford Warner Universal. Netflix first said it wasn't interested, but later said that if there's a good offer, it might reconsider. Paramount had seemed like the safest option until now. First, it has already made several public offers to buy Warner, all of which the company rejected. I don't think it's that they don't want Paramount to buy them. Warner just believes they can get more money. And it turns out that Paramount is currently owned by Larry Ellison's son, one of the richest men in the world. There's also the fact that the Ellison family gets along very well with Donald Trump. So the United States government looks very favorably on this purchase. This was the information we had, but everything just changed because there's an article claiming that the Snyderverse could return. The information comes from the website Cosmic Book News, who claim to have a source that told them Saudi Arabia is looking to buy Warner Brothers. Two questions come up. What is Saudi Arabia's connection to American cinema? And what is Zack Snyder's link to Saudi Arabia? Let me share the gossip. Saudi Arabia has recently invested heavily in entertainment. For example, they bought Electronic Arts Sports. They organized an amazing festival with several international comedy stars, and they've had several high-profile concerts and events that appeal to a global audience. Why are they so fixated on this? The official reason is to modernize the country's image and lessen economic dependence on oil by investing in entertainment. There's also controversy, as this appears to be image washing by the entertainment industry. Through these events and productions, they say, look, we all love superheroes, sports, and comedians. We have freedom of speech and don't repress human rights, but what does Zack Snyder have to do with this? This year, it was announced that Zack Snyder would join the UFC, the mixed martial arts company, to make the movie. Brawler is a film about a fighter's quest for success, funded by the Saudi Arabian government. This article claims Saudi Arabia is close to buying Warner.
The United States government supports this purchase, and Saudi Arabia trusts Zack Snyder's work, so it would proceed.
And look, analyzing the information, there are things that support this theory, but there are also others that don't add up. Let's start with the information that does validate this theory. The first thing to say is that Zack Snyder has certainly been very active lately since he opened his Instagram account, where he's been posting photos from his Detective Comics movies. It's like Snyder is trying to spark discussion about his universe after some time, to gauge his remaining fan base and potential interest in his return. Something that seems very suspicious and quite a coincidence right at this time when Warner precisely is up for sale. So yes, Zack Snyder is likely pitching the idea to Saudi Arabia. They currently have a close working relationship, which is a verifiable fact beyond Cosmic Book News. Snyder does have a double standard since he supports James Gunn promoting the Superman movie, such as the Rick and Morty episode where they both appear, which premiered the same week as Superman and was clearly designed to be a promotion for the movie. But he was also seen liking a post comparing the box office results of Superman and Man of Steel. He gets along with James Gunn, but if it were up to him, wouldn't he bring his universe back? Now let's talk about the facts that don't add up with this theory. The first thing to mention is that Cosmic Book News in their article says that the only source on this comes from themselves. Insider, who said that the Daredevil Born Again series would have several reshoots to better adapt the tone of the Netflix series. Which did happen, but remember, that's how insiders are. Sometimes they get some things right and a lot of other things wrong. And it's this insider who's reportedly saying the Snyderverse is very possible. The Warner purchase just needs one signature to be finalized. He also claims Christopher Nolan will return as executive producer. Another point that doesn't convince me is that Cosmic Book News isn't the most reliable source of information in the world. Because they spend all their time talking badly about anything related to James Gunn and pushing everything related to the Snyderverse, even though a lot of times it's not true. That's why I don't consider this site a reliable source of information. Personally, I get the impression that it's all just a big guess where several points were connected with too much freedom. That would be the guess. Saudi Arabia is heavily investing in entertainment, with rumors they may want to buy Warner if this happens. Saudi Arabia might be interested in carrying out the Snyderverse because they are currently funding the movie. Brawler with Zack Snyder, who has recently shared many Snyderverse posts on social media. Look closely, and there's little more here. There aren't any major sources of information like Deadline, Variety, or any other big outlet talking about the fact that indeed Saudi Arabia is interested in buying Warner. Hello geekers, how are you? I'm Future Gogo, here to clarify something. While editing this video, new information emerged. And it turns out that now it's true. Variety just published that Larry Ellison, the owner of Paramount, met with some investors from Saudi Arabia to help him buy Warner. Saudi Arabia is definitely interested in buying this company. It's unclear if Paramount, Larry Ellison, and Saudi Arabia will buy it, or if another company will, which I'll reveal now. This topic is evolving, but I'll keep you updated. Most sources, including the POC News website, are repeating it. It says Comcast Chief Executive Officer Brian Roberts mysteriously went to Saudi Arabia, possibly seeking investors to buy Warner. Yes, he did go there, but I think we're jumping to conclusions too quickly. But now, could Saudi Arabia buy Warner? They definitely have the money and could have the interest to improve their public image. So maybe they'll surprise us and beat Paramount. But even if they do, recent Forbes and Wall Street Journal articles say the Superman movie was profitable for Warner. So I don't know if Arabi Saudita would be willing to let go of a franchise that has just been considered a commercial success to take another chance with the Snyderverse. It's one thing to fund his martial arts movie, but giving him control of a multi-million-dollar franchise is another. Personally, I don't think it's very likely. But it's also worth mentioning that Zack Snyder did like a post on Instagram that talked about Warner. Arabi Saudita's link to the purchase makes me think Zack Snyder is really trying to make it happen. But anyway, I want to share this with you. Do I really want the Snyderverse to come back? If you watch my channel, you know I enjoyed and defended Man of Steel and Batman v Superman for years. Honestly, I have many videos that prove it. In fact, I was really happy when they announced that Henry Cavill would return as Superman after the Black Adam movie. In general, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this story ends. At the end of Man of Steel, I felt Superman was becoming the symbol of hope he was meant to be. We never saw that, as the character wasn't properly developed in movies like Batman v Superman or the Snyder Cut. But even though I'm really eager to see how this story ends, the truth is that I'm even more excited for Superman and the Detective Comics heroes to connect with the audience and a new generation through a universe that, by all indications, is working. Imagine if the Snyderverse returns. Do you think the general audience could handle another reboot? We're geeks, so we're fine with there being one Superman, then another, and then another returning. Because we're up to date with the news, we get it. But do you think most people really understand? I feel like another reboot, having two parallel universes in the movies, would likely confuse the audience and could ruin the Detective Comics universe in cinema. Not only that, but I've genuinely seen how the new Superman, James Gunn's version, has managed to connect really well with a new generation of viewers who, until now, hadn't really been able to understand it. They found Superman boring or unrelatable, even with Henry Cavill's portrayal. I repeat, I love Man of Steel. If I had to choose, I'd revive the Snyderverse as animated movies, comics, or another format separate from the films. This way, those who want to see the story's ending can do so. A new generation can now enjoy their own Detective Comics universe in theaters, but that's just my opinion. Tell me in the comments, what would you like? Would you like the Snyderverse to return to theaters? Leave your comment here, and remember that if you want to support us using our Mercado Libre link, I'll leave it in the video description. And thank you so much for everything. That's all for today. I'm Go the Geek Monitor, and keep looking beyond the obvious. Goodbye.